This is The Edge of Innovation, Hacking the Future of Business. I'm your host, Paul Parisi.
And I'm Jacob Young.
On The Edge of Innovation, we talk about the intersection between technology and business, what's going on in technology, and what's possible for business. Welcome to another edition of The Edge of Innovation. Today we're talking with Jeremiah Smith with Simple Tiger. He's the founder and CEO, and you're an SEO company. Okay, so now you talk about this content as being key. So an SEO plan, is this fair to say, an SEO plan without content is not an SEO plan?
Yes, insofar as Google is concerned. That's correct. I would say that could be a broad descriptor of SEO as well, because of Amazon clearly needing content, iTunes search needing some content. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, you're absolutely right. If you don't have content in your SEO plan, then you just don't have an SEO plan.
Okay, then how fresh does that content have to be?
That really depends, actually. Freshness is a powerful tool where the content needs to be fresh. But if we think about who has dominated Google search results for the longest time, that's Wikipedia. And a lot of the content in Wikipedia, though it is user-generated and created and optimized and it gets updated frequently and stuff like that, there are pages of content in Wikipedia that have kind of sat there still for a very long period of time and consistently dominate. So we need to keep that in mind. Like I'm sure if we search the Declaration of Independence in Google and we read it now, it's probably, on Wikipedia, it's probably not much different than it was 5 to 10 years ago. It may have changed a little bit, but the freshness of that does not correlate to how well it ranks, right? So freshness is important, but it's a system of factors. It's almost kind of like saying something like, why do you like vanilla ice cream, or why do you like jazz? Like that's hard to answer, right?
Yeah.
It's a system of feelings. It's a system of things in you that cause you to make that decision. With Google, it's not so much feeling, but there are a lot of factors that are influencing it, and in varying degrees that aren't outwardly published by Google. They don't give their full science away. They give an idea of their science away. So we have an idea, but we're constantly reverse engineering to kind of try to nail that down. If I were to give you my list of top ranking factors kind of reverse engineered or from what I've discovered through doing this, the first one on that list would probably be accuracy of content to searcher intent is right now the most important thing. So accuracy of the piece of content that you have to the searcher's intent for the keyword that they searched. So that's really hard to determine if you don't have Google to use right away. But if you do have Google to use, which we do, then you can go ahead and search the keyword that you want to target and see what does come up. And you're going to find that the searcher intent for content at the top of Google is kind of clear. If you're looking for best pizza shop near me, for example, then TripAdvisor is probably going to give you the top 15 pizza shops, but that's going to be the organic listing. Google Maps is probably going to give you a few pizza shops that are highly rated and stuff like that. So Google's ultimately doing their best to kind of figure out what you want based on what you've asked.
It's a different way to think. In some ways, you have to sort of think about how the organization happens. I liked your analogy of organizing the spice cabinet because you would organize it so that you could find it. And that's very cool. So now we talked about fresh content and that not being super critical, because if you're writing a story about Lincoln, the facts about Lincoln haven't changed all that much. He was a certain height, certain president, and et cetera, et cetera. So I can see that. Does the content have to have a churn to it, or does it have to have more? So we're not talking about Lincoln. We're talking about the headphones we sell or the semiconductors that we sell. Does that need to have an ever fresh look or feel, really from a content point of view?
It's so frustrating to try to understand SEO sometimes or to, in my position, kind of explain it, because I hate when I get these answers, but it depends. I hate that answer, but I'm going to go into why that depends. So if we are talking about Lincoln, everyone is pretty much going to say the same kind of stuff, and very rarely is new information going to come out. However, if we are talking about headphones, that's in kind of the technology retail space where things actually change pretty quickly. A new product comes on the market by Sony, another one comes on the market by Bose, another by Sennheiser, happens a few times a year, every year, and everyone goes crazy about all of it. So there's a lot of new stuff happening in that industry. And so there's a lot of there are a lot of frogs leaping over each other there. So if you're going to play that game, you just got to get used to being a frog playing leapfrog there. Whereas if you are a historian and you've written some really good stuff about Abraham Lincoln and you've published it and it took you a while to get it out there, well, guess what? You're playing a game where a lot of people are not leapfrogging each other. It's just kind of sitting there. So you're in a lucky space if you're a great historian and have written a long piece of content about that, because you're probably going to rank well and you don't have much competition to worry about. But then again, what is your commercial intent? What kind of money are you expecting to get for it? And I hate to say that, but at the end of the day, that's where Google really starts playing commercial value, especially for me, a marketing agency. My clients all have a commercial intent with what they're doing. So in my client spaces, we have a lot of competition. We have a lot of people playing leapfrog, and we just have to help our client become a good racehorse, or I should say a good leapfrog in the game of it, and grow some strong legs, which comes down to building content, building links, ensuring user engagement is there, and that searcher intent is accurate to the piece of content. So it really depends on the space that you're in, I guess, is the short answer.
So how do you see that both good examples and poor examples of companies that sell the SEO magic, if you will, and then don't fulfill the expectations? I would imagine that an uneducated SEO buyer has unrealistic expectations.
100%. And I see it way more than I'd like to. Unfortunately, it's a situation in my industry where I'm kind of acting and serving as really an ambassador of my industry to a world of businesses who have been burned by or have a bad taste in their mouth around SEO and working with an agency or someone who says they know anything about SEO. I liken it much to snake oil salesmen and people who have the magic cancer cure 200 years ago, where some people, I think, probably do have the cure, but their reputation and the likelihood of people buying from them have been ruined by so many other people claiming they had the cure and being completely wrong about it. I think the same thing is true with SEO. I really work to try to take people into that new line of thinking and make that paradigm shift that I watched you follow me through with the Spice Cabinet and Amazon and iTunes, and showing that search engine optimization applies to a lot of things. I mean, my favorite example of search engine optimization is using a library. Any one of us can go into any library in the United States that we have never been to, and in a matter of a couple of minutes, find a single word on a single page in a single book in a single section because of the way the library is structured and books are structured with tables of contents and indexes. So I think really we as people in SEO, we owe it to the community at large to first be clear with everyone on what all SEO includes and is and requires to do properly. And then if you are a practitioner in the SEO realm in some way, pick an angle of what you want to specialize in and do it well. If you do want to be a generalist, that's fine. You're most likely going to fall into the camp of doing a lot of consulting and a bunch of random kind of tactics and tasks that add up to an SEO effort. But ultimately, it's a good idea to kind of pick a specialty like we have and zero in on it. So within the SEO space, we focus a lot on keyword research, content strategy, and link building. With that, we then produce content and build links, and we find that according to our strategies, if we do that properly, our clients just see really good results. And so that's our specialty within SEO. But I only get to that after kind of laying everything out for my clients and showing them first and foremost what SEO is made up of, so that they can feel comfortable and confident analyzing us and other agencies. It's funny how many agencies just go straight in assuming that people know what SEO includes and then sell them on an aspect of it, and then a client buys it thinking that they're getting the full part. The most common thing that we find is a lot of companies out there claiming they know SEO are just doing the technical portion, which if I break SEO down, I break it into three major categories: technical, content, and link building. The technical portion to me is as good as grading the property that you're about to build your house on and maybe laying the foundation. But that's as far as it gets with technical. All the technical in the world is still not going to help you compete with really good content out there. It's just going to help you have a platform to publish your content on and do it effectively. But you still have to publish the content and build links to the content. So a lot of companies out there sell SEO and then just deliver the technical portion, and then clients are scratching their heads because nothing's happened to their content, nothing's happened to their links. They don't know anything about needing either one of those anyway, but regardless, they're upset because the rankings, traffic, and conversions haven't improved, and so they fire the SEO agency and say SEO doesn't work. Right. So that's the most frustrating scenario that I hear about all the time, and I have to take them and say, look, that's just the beginning. You've taken the first step in a 1,000-step journey of building content, building links. Right. So So that's really what it's going to take to see the results you want.
So do you, when you engage with a client, and the technical thing is, it's like carpentry. It's not terribly difficult, but a good carpenter is worth his weight in gold. So do you develop a content calendar, or is it, how deliberate is that? Or is it just like, oh, write an article about this?
Oh, it's very deliberate. So we don't espouse the idea of producing content for the sake of producing content or because somebody told you need to. Content ought to be produced to answer questions and problems within your industry that people are already asking. And if you do a good job of answering every single keyword with a solid piece of content, and maybe even a few different pieces of content attacking that keyword from different angles, then you're doing a fantastic job. I think one of my favorite examples of a content production powerhouse in the world is HubSpot. Of course, in my space, they're very dominant. They're a marketing automation platform. But if you look up anything about marketing, odds are you're going to come across a HubSpot article at some point that's going to attack that very subject very well, because they do a good job of producing content. So it needs to fall under a content strategy. That content strategy can begin in one place. So when we do SEO for a client, we will start a content strategy and we'll deliver that content strategy. But that strategy document is just the beginning. We have what we call the content roadmap, which comes after the strategy. And the roadmap includes some of the things you refer to. So a content calendar, where we say, all right, we have a calendar, but for us, it's not like a schedule of 2 articles per month every month. It's more of, we need to cover this list of keywords with content. Here's how many pieces of content at the minimum we're going to have to produce. Now let's try to fit that into a calendar, because a client only has so much budget. They can't afford to have, 120 pieces of content written this month. And neither can we scale up quickly and do that as effectively as.
Let me interrupt. Even if you could scale and they did have the money, would it be wise to? Because would it overwhelm?
Actually, it can be. It can be wise to. So there are some case studies in our industry of a few companies who have done that. And we actually have a case study of a client who did that. So on our site, we have a case study for Segment, where we did an SEO project, and they had about 150 pages that we did some massive optimization on very quickly. And we leveraged their internal content team that broke it out into sections, and we gave them a whole bunch of recommendations for those pages. They edited those pages. Then we built some links to those pages. And in the span of a couple of months, we improved their organic search traffic very fast, very effectively, to the order of about 128% increase in organic search traffic. So you can dump a flood of content on Google, and if it's well done and it's according to a strategy, you're going to reap the rewards, and you're going to reap them fast. The problem there is mainly twofold. Number one, budget. It's all manual. So producing that content is not something that happens automated. I do not recommend any kind of automated content for SEO purposes. It might work in other capacities, but from an SEO perspective, I don't recommend it. So manual, handwritten, hand-edited human content is key, and that takes time, which costs money if you pay someone to do it. And then scale. Usually to get 120 pieces of content written quickly, usually one person can't do that. So we have to scale that out across a team of 5, 10, 15 people and break it up into 5, 10 pieces each, something like that. And then we've got a scalable system to quickly build it. But that's only if we have the resources in place, where Segment already had a team of people who can handle that. Sure. So that's a great example.
Cybersecurity is critical for today's businesses. Savior Labs is a Boston cybersecurity firm that cares for your business and your team. We solve problems so you can focus on what you do best. Just follow the link in the show notes and enter code SECURITY for more information.
I've seen examples where a guy named SEO Nick, who he goes by SEO Nick, it's Nick Eubanks. He's huge in the SEO community. He published a site where he published a case study where he took a site and he built the site and built all the content, did all the keyword research, did all the content strategy and everything before launching the site. He had the domain name, but nothing on it. And he built all this and then launched it on the domain name. And within a month or 2 months time, had something on the order of 100,000 organic hits a month flowing in within a month to 2 months, 30 to 60 days. That is insane. And that required a massive effort. But I think he did the whole thing just to see, first and foremost, how quickly you can actually show results from 0 to 100 with SEO, to kind of break this theory that SEO has to take a long time. Of course, it took a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of money internally to produce all that content, structure it and everything. But once he hit publish, it just worked. And so that's something to keep in mind.
Okay, so now that's great. I would not have believed it had you not taken me through it. But now, does the same thing work? So if Nick had not done that in one big turn it on and it's all there. If he had done the same thing but metered it out month by month, do you think he would have gotten to the same number of hits or page views?
Yes, I think he would have. I think it would have still gotten the same number of page views. It would have just taken the total amount of time that it took him to hit publish on each one of those pieces metered out, and then the time for Google to actually index, assimilate, and determine the value of all that content, allow it to rank. So Google can move very fast, especially if Google sees 150,000 new URLs on a site that is a huge site like eBay. Guess what? All of those URLs can show up in Google within an hour or two. So Google can move exceptionally quick. And all those pages, by the way, can rank because Google has a relationship with eBay that is like, chocolate and peanut butter, right? So we have to keep that in mind, that can happen. So the alternative scenario of kind of spreading it out over a long period of time is why most people say SEO takes a long time. Well, because it took you a long time to do everything necessary for SEO to work.
Okay, good insight. So, but that's, I think, also somewhat of a comfort because it means that if you go at your own pace, you're not doomed to failure.
Exactly. And that was one of the most exciting things that got me into SEO 12 years ago or over 12 years ago was I was working for a small mom and pop shop who hired me to build their site. And then after the site was built, they were happy with it and they wanted it to show up in Google. And I said, well, look, I don't know anything about this new SEO thing that I'm going to teach myself here. I just discovered it. But if you guys don't mind, I will spend every single day practicing what I've learned to try to get it to show up in Google well, and we'll see what happens. And I was very lucky and blessed that they agreed and said, you know what? Yeah, do it, but it's got to show results. And if it doesn't show results, we're going to stop doing it. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I got to work on it, and I spent 8 hours a day inside a small mom and pop shop that sold ATVs and dirt bikes to retailers throughout the country, trying to get them to show up for the keywords they needed. And with a 6-month effort, we added $2 million onto their $4 million revenue. So it was just from organic search. So that dedicated effort internally allowed me to work. And by the way, that was me teaching myself by doing this. That wasn't even me knowing how to do it yet. So yes, you can work at your own pace with SEO. And that's probably my favorite thing about it is whatever your pace is, you're going to have directly proportional results to that.
Interesting. So we're going to shift gears here in just a moment. But do you think that we fundamentally interact with the world differently now that we have Google? I mean, I think the answer is implicitly yes. And because if I'm doing anything, so that's really a stunning fact, adding $2 million or 50% more revenue to a dirt bike company. Right. And so it's like, well, wait a minute. All right, what excuse can I use that I can't do that in my company? I am a semiconductor manufacturer, or I'm a bicycle shop, or I'm this, or I'm that.
Right.
If you're trying to talk yourself out of SEO, you'd say, well, nobody that wants my products, let's talk about semiconductor stuff, is searching on Google. That seems like a silly thing to say.
It's a very rare scenario, but it does happen from time to time, but it is rare.
But predominantly, I think that can you think of a business that you would be able to call out that say, no, it's probably not worth doing? I mean, you mentioned earlier about the high C-suite kind of hiring and things like that.
And even those, they're even in that, there's an angle where you could show up because people are searching, CFO headhunter, CIO headhunter, stuff like that. So there is still an SEO angle. It really, I hate to give this answer again. It depends. It depends on the potential value or ROI that you're going to get from doing SEO as to whether or not it's worth it to do. Now, the general question of, are there industries where there's just no search volume? That's so extremely rare that I can't think of one, and I can't really come up with a good example of one where it wouldn't make sense to do SEO because of search volume. But I think in places where ROI is key, small local realtors, small local insurance salespeople that both work under agencies, so like a real estate agent or an insurance agent that works under a major insurance firm. Those are examples where there's definitely search volume. And it is cutthroat. And you want to talk about leapfrog, those frogs are killing each other to try to outrank each other. So the value there, in my opinion, for the small independent realtor or insurance agent, it's not there from an SEO perspective. Right. I would recommend going to networking events and talking to people face-to-face and stuff like that before investing in SEO for those types. So I don't serve those business models mainly because of that. It just doesn't work as well. So that's the most common scenario, I think, is the cost to benefit analysis and breaking that down.
So now, how do you address, you get the people there, they're viewing the content, it's good content, but don't you have to have a call to action?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the call to action needs to take people down the path also of becoming a customer. So in some cases, I mean, you always need to have the option of becoming a customer quickly, kind of like the fast lane, the self-checkout. But I think that there does need to be this slower option as well, where we're carefully, steadily building relationship and nurturing our leads along into having a relationship with us. And then if you do it right, you have this staggered approach of different scenarios where there's the long sale person, there's the medium sale person, and there's the quick sell person. The quick sell clicks schedule a demo or just hits contact us and like calls a phone number and says, I want to buy it. The medium sell says, put me on a demo. I'd like to look at it. And then after the demo, you're probably going to have to send me some stuff. And I might need to have a few phone calls and answer a few questions. And the long sell person wants to read blog articles and collect newsletters and consider 5 different companies over the course of 6 months and things like that. So I think if you're offering all those different scenarios, then your SEO efforts are going to be best suited by already having those kind of assets and those opportunities in place, because no matter where someone is at in the buying cycle, if you're bringing them in through that SEO top of funnel source, then you're feeding them through a large funnel that you've set up that takes into consideration where they might be in their buying cycle.
So now how do you, as an agency, help the customer deal with that? So we've got the person to the site. We've got a, buy now button somewhere there or whatever. But how do you actually technically help them fulfill the call to action? Because that's outside of SEO.
Yeah. So helping them fulfill the call to action, that I forgot to, I guess, mention what I meant by taking them through that process of going through the funnel. The calls to action there could be a diverse set of calls to action. The most obvious call to action is buy from us. The medium term is going to be the schedule a demo and that kind of thing, where we're maybe advertising the demo a little bit more on our site with content talking about what the demo is going to include and what you're going to get out of it, so that we're kind of selling that demo really well. And then other calls to action, like on the blog, such as when a person gets to the end of a blog article, HubSpot highly recommends putting a call to action at the end of a blog article that suggests another piece of content that's larger on that same subject that goes deeper into it. Because if a person read all the way to the end of that piece of content, they're so heavily devoted and they're right at the point where they're probably going to be more open to reading more about that same thing. You know, it's kind of like a movie that ended too quickly. And people are sitting there watching the credits, waiting for the last moments, the after credits scene to roll. They could have used more movie. Well, these people could use more content. So suggest an ebook or a white paper or a PDF download or another longer article. But in order to capture that longer article, I'm going to capture your email in order to give that to you. And I'll just send it to you real quick. Also, you're going to get a follow-up email from me a couple days later with another piece on the same subject and kind of take you through the process of guiding you deeper into the funnel. So those are some calls to actions that we recommend. At the very least, capture emails on your site somewhere.
Right. Do you implement that for customers, that actual conversion funnel, and what tools do you use for that or recommend?
So we don't implement that for our clients. There are so many good tools out there, and we try to kind of remain a little platform agnostic so that we can work with whatever client platform they're on. But we inevitably run into scenarios where we just don't like the platforms they're on sometimes. And so we do steer them towards something a little better. I always recommend HubSpot. They're a great general thumb, just great tool. And I'm not a HubSpot partner agency, by the way, so I'm not getting paid to say that, just so you know. But regardless, they're a great platform. However, they are very expensive. So we do like to look at some other platforms as well. I think Marketo is also great, also expensive, but less than HubSpot. SharpSpring is the one that we just signed up for and that we're getting onto, and I'm really liking it so far. It's pretty interesting. So we will recommend, based on our clients' needs, a platform. A lot of people don't need, for example, a CRM. So a lot of our SaaS clients have the $9 a month software product that you need to sign up for, and they're not going to waste time putting somebody on a sales call. Also, nobody's going to get on a sales call to buy that product. It's $9 a month. That's a quick credit card decision, and you swipe it and you move on. So for them, their marketing automation platform and the tools they need for marketing are just going to be different than that of maybe an enterprise supply chain management software. So that is probably going to require a lot more of a sales effort. And so the calls to action are just going to be dramatically different. And then the implementation of those calls to action, those conversion items, the lead capture and all that is just going to be different as well.
Okay. Well, we've been speaking with Jeremiah Smith of Simple Tiger. He's an SEO expert, and they're an SEO agency. As you can tell, there's a lot of value here in what he said. Have you been listening? We've been throwing out book names and different things you should go and look at. All of that will be in the show notes, so I encourage you to look there. You'll find links to Simple Tiger and a way to actually contact Jeremiah. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for spending the time with us, and who knows? Maybe we'll have you back soon.
That would be awesome. I'd be happy to come back. Thank you so much for everything, Paul. It was an honor to be here.
All right. Thank you.
The Edge of Innovation is brought to you in partnership with Savior Labs. Savior Labs exists to help businesses mature and strategize for the future. Learn more about Savior Labs at saviorlabs.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Edge of Innovation, Hacking the Future of Business. For the show notes and more information about Paul, please visit paulparisi.com. The Edge of Innovation is produced by Jacob Young in conjunction with copious amounts of coffee. Music on today's episode was from bensound.com. Paul can be found on Twitter at pdparisi and on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/pdparisi. This episode, like all our episodes, is transcribed and available at paulparisi.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.